and welcome to the Pondering Skulls podcast. My name is Bree, and this will be the part 16 through 18 of the I Am an Evil Doll, but I Am Not the Problem series. I really hope you guys enjoy. It's taken me a long time to get here to actually recording these because every time I do, I end up not being able to read and it just comes out horrible. So, if you hear me stutter in any part of these stories, it's just because my brain lagged. It's just what it is. But, anyways, hope you enjoy. This setup's just a little bit different. There's not going to be an outro to the ending, it's just going to end at the last part of the last story. And hopefully, I'll get more done soon. So, hope you enjoy. I'm flying high on scraps of soul and the rare feeling of victory. I did it. I didn't watch it. I didn't help. I saved that little girl. I stopped that cutesy cavalcade of carnage, not Leo or Mike, me. As sick as it might sound in the midst of this horror and evil, it feels good. But I'm not done, not by a long shot. Whatever is holed up in the attic was just using the toys as guard dogs. My brain flickers with snippets of the children's lives, the last fleeting glimpses of what was fused with the mob. Flames still cling to the books and furnishings, but they're dim, ember-fueled things. The floor wet with long dead blood and gore should stop it from spreading, and if not, I don't see anyone wanting to return to this place anytime soon. Maybe it's best if it becomes a pile of ash. To say getting into an attic is old hat for me would be an understatement. But when I get there, what I see makes my base of operations look like Grandma's pantry. Bare skull to the air, I smell the rotten disease, food mostly, but also the kind of wet leaf and sulfur of decaying flesh. There's a makeshift workbench in one corner of the room. Strewn on it are an assortment of cheap firearms, knives, and other weaponry. A simple green sleeping bag nearby, discarded junk food and takeout containers surround it like a nest. Backpacks and duffel bags are all around the room. A small man, about 5'7", sits watching the chaos outside through a small hole cut through the roof. By the sound of things, it's starting to wind down, which I can understand. There's only so many bodies, and at the end of the day, all but the biggest lunatics tend to value their own lives. It's becoming a stalemate, hopefully. The alternative is one side is just about dead, and if that's the case, it's going to be ours. I'm feeling invincible. The strength running through me is absolutely enough to take out some paramilitary freak. Last time, I talked about how the world was metaphorically my weapon, but as I creep up behind the twisted little sniper, I'm faced with an interesting conundrum. My world is literally weapons. Lucky day, I guess. I grab a wide-bladed combat knife, easily wielding the carbon steel tool. That voice inside, that part of me that revels in violence, has a million ways it wants me to flinch and flay the coward in front of me. But I know time is short. He's wearing a brown 3/4 length leather jacket. I can't describe the style. It's somewhere between Wild West and Temu Tactical. He has a black worn baseball cap on, its brim full of tiny slash marks, a tally of some form. Underneath is long, greasy brown hair framing a face I can't quite see as I stand behind him. I drive the knife into the back of the baseball cap, burying it to the handle right above the plastic fitting. I repeat this, and for good measure jam the blade through the man's spine, into his heart and twist. I see no innocence in this person. I feel no guilt. But as I do what I do, he deserves it. That makes you feel better? The man says, his raspy voice having just a bit of a country accent. Texas, maybe. I look, and besides a torn jacket, nothing I did left a lasting impression. But I've seen this before, and you know what they say, if at first you don't succeed, try again. The man stands, and my swing is about halfway to severing his leg at the knee when he says, "Stop." and I do. No urging from that dark part of me helps. No desperate panic, fear-stoked attempts to move my frozen limbs work. The man turns, his face not quite undead, but a long way from living. Sunken red eyes, a weeping open sore, and teeth like a disused graveyard. I was wondering what was calling all that ruckus downstairs. The gray-skinned man begins, studying me. My word, you're a custom job, ain't you? Who are you? I asked, trying to buy time. Polite folk would have made introductions before putting a pig sticker in the back of my head. But I'm a forgiving sort. William, hired gun at your service. The thing smiles, adding, hop up on the table if you will. My mind rages against it. I try to cling to fear, shame, desperation. But the control he's exerting over me isn't some kind of hypnosis. It's something more. In a few seconds, I find myself laying on his workbench surrounded by weaponry. The symbolism isn't lost on me. Kill me if you want. My friends are going to put an end to the bishop's cult, I say in an attempt to be defiant. William laughs a long, dry chortle. Not my ranch, not my horses, half-pint. That's the whole hired part of hired hand. I'm here because I've been paid well. That and an opportunity to reunite with the clown down there. In fact, I wish you fellas the best of luck. That Dutch weirdo gives me the willies. But the problem is, you broke a whole mess of expensive kit downstairs. I'm getting paid, but I can't exactly write things off as business expenses, can I? William says. You don't get paid any more for working harder. Why not just let things play out at this point? Screw the bishop, I say, trying to bargain. I'm with you on that one, Hoss. That old boy, he's messing around with things well above his pay grade. And if you ask me, he's all hat, no cattle. Not a good combination with his particular aspirations. Listen, though, this isn't personal. And hell, you'll probably like working with me, William says, bringing out a small wooden case. He opens it. Inside is a selection of tools I can't even try to name. He pulls out a long, thin thing that looks like an awl. He begins to prod where my metallic skull meets my neck. I'm not trying to be brave here, just stating facts. Are you planning on piloting me the entire time? If not, it seems like you're putting an awful lot of faith in me doing what you want. If so, I'm nothing special. Superglue any gun here to something that can move and it's scarier than I am, I negotiate. William brings his face low and close to mine. With a twist of it all like tulle, my skull snaps shut. William grins. I'm glad I can no longer smell what passes for his breath. Maybe I need to explain some things. The world is sick, half-pint. You can't see it, you just don't know it. With every day that passes, things make a little bit less sense. Look at the kind of bullshit stalking the dark nowadays. Weird is what I'm saying. Moving pictures that want to kill you, critters with pun names spilling blood, a peckerwood named Jeff that has a whole generation pissing themselves. The further back you go, the more simple, more powerful things were. A man that could turn into a wolf, the spirit of the dead, or even a man who could talk to weapons. William's grin tells me he's speaking of himself, though I'd have picked it up otherwise. Why side with evil then? Seems like there's plenty of weapons on either side, I say, trying to buy time. William slaps the table, then points at me excitedly. See? Great minds think alike. I'll hop the fence from time to time, love me some war, join up with the black hats, they're doing the most vile things on earth. Join up with the white hats, you get to do worse to the black hats. But the problem is, I don't just talk to shooting irons and ice picks, I understand them. I relate to them. He walks away from the table and pulls out a large Ziploc bag with a boxy pistol inside. He puts his face into the bag, inhaling it like a sack of pot. He gingerly takes the weapon out of the Ziploc bag, a look of elation washing over his face. Just a touch and I can tell everything about one, every kill, every flaw. I understand every atom of it, he smiles, holding the gun. The slide cocks itself. If something spilled enough blood, I can even give it a little get up and go. Ransom me then. My friends down there are sitting on all kinds of weird equipment, I suggest. William hovers a yellow-nailed finger an inch or so above my chest. But I never owned something that can think for itself, something with a real mind, not anything I can control anyways, William leads. But it's a catch-22, isn't it? I'll walk myself into traffic if you give me half a chance. I'd rather deal with that than killing innocent people. Tap my forehead and tell me if I'm lying, I dare. William's grin gets wider. I've no doubt you would, but you might want to think that through just a little bit more. I've seen wars from Revolutionary to Iraq. I've been around a long time. No kin, friends are long dead. You, though, you're just a young buck, maybe 20 or 30 when you got killed. Another 10 or 20 like this, give or take. But you've got people still living. Not those roughnecks trading lead, but soft folks. Brothers, sisters, parents, hell, maybe a kid or two. I'll know all about each of them, and if you so much as miss one note when I ask you to dance my tune, I'll know them inside and out. William holds his finger above me like the sword of Damocles. I've thought of my past life, even caught glimpses of it, but this is the first time the possibility of harm to people I knew has entered my mind. Panic and fear for a family I don't even know floods through me. You'd think my lack of memory would be a blessing, but my mind goes to some dark places. No solid information to anchor itself. William slowly brings one yellowed nail down, grinning, enjoying my struggles. I can manage to twitch, to scream, but not much else. When he makes contact, I feel nothing, but the look of intrigue and joy on his withered old revenant's face tells me all I need to know. Oh, don't that beat all? I know your story, but you don't. God loves himself a joke, doesn't he? William turns, setting out two black shining bladed tools and opening my skull case with the awl. All I'm gonna do is a little tune-up. Interesting thing about objects like you is that you're hardy as hell. Get out. Need to nearly grind you to dust to stop you. No going into shock, no blood loss, never damage, anything like that. Lucky in any way. But in others, you drew the short straw. William leaves the statement unfinished as we hear a loud noise. He walks over to a tall curtained window, cracking it slightly. Whatever hold he had on me, I know I can figure it out. I just need more time. My scant muscles strain as I try to control the random twitches I'm capable of. Son of a bitch! William shouts, quickly turning away from the window, hands on his eyes. There's a smell of ozone. I catch a glimpse outside. The sun is threatening on the horizon. Small wisps of smoke hang on William's face as he gingerly inches toward the curtain, closing it. Time flies when you're having fun, don't it? Best thing on earth is loving your job. William rummages through another duffel bag, pulling out some kind of jury-rigged zip gun. He holds it, looking like an addict taking a hit for a moment, before aiming it out of the cruel hole on the other side of the house and firing. In the distance, I hear a scream. Looks like we need to get to moseying here, Half-Pint. Sun's up, guns up is my motto. William walks towards me, eyes bloodshot, bleeding. He picks up one of the bladed tools, cutting deftly through my flesh and tapping the remains of my actual skull. Clock the fuck out, man. Why take the chance of getting caught up out here? I beg. Among my many talents is a damn fine internal clock. I've got 7 minutes before sunrise proper. Plenty of time to rearrange the furniture in your attic and get on the dusty trail, William says, picking up a flat, small chisel from his case. I can't describe the pain as he begins to pry up a part of my skull. On a physical level, it's nothing I should be able to survive. A brutal pressure-filled, blinding tension. And in some other, more esoteric sense, I feel violated. It's the end. I've just about got one hand listening to half of my commands, and this lunatic is a couple of centimeters away from plucking out all of the parts of me that matter. In this moment of acceptance, the monster is nowhere to be found. It's much easier to try and move now, but what's the point? I can't hurt William. I can't get away. All I can do is try and get out with little dignity. Don't move, I hear a familiar young voice say. My heart sinks, more so when I hear the extremely labored cocking of a pistol. Then said pistol being dropped, then picked back up. William grins, casually taking a hooked brush knife from the table and advancing toward the girl. Run, for God's sake, I scream. Of course Alex doesn't understand. That would have been the smart thing to do, William answers me. Now, miss, I'm a bit pressed for time here, so why don't you put down the gun and leave and call things square? William's control of me is looser now. I struggle, almost able to sit upright. It takes 2 seconds for Alex to pull the trigger. Something in her wrist gets damaged. She struggles to hold onto the gun. She's at point-blank range when it hits William in the chest. He doesn't even wince. Alex is panicking now. Sweat starting to form on her face. For some reason, she cocks the gun again. William laughs, slowing his pace to let her line up another shot. She fires, her wrist going from sprained to fractured. William flicks the blade faster than I can see, and in a shower of sparks, the bullet is sent off course. Alex is crying now, backing away. She screams with her third shot, not in rage, but pain as something in her hand breaks. William slashes at the bullet again, enjoying the terror his display of power is causing in the child. Whatever William is, he's strong, quick, full of dark power, and nearly indestructible. The same can't be said for the wicked-looking tool in his hand. Tearing metal and red-hot slag hit all three of us. The majority of the blade shears from the handle, taking a wild, arcing trajectory, cutting cleanly through a part of the plywood roof. In an instant, a single flat beam of sunlight enters the room. It cleanly severs the first 3 fingers on William's hand, leaving them smoking on the floor, one with a gaudy cattle skull ring. For a second, a look of confusion washes over William's face. Then it's replaced with pure hate. "You little bitch," he growls, looking at the smoking stubs of his fingers. He dashes toward her, ducking under the beam of light. William grabs the girl by the shirt, holding her over the attic entrance. She's petrified. I'm in the same boat. The situation is rapidly developing. He punches the girl, holding her aloft with one hand. A rib breaks, Alex screams, and tries desperately to hold back tears. He strikes her again. There's a dazed look on Alex's face that scares the hell out of me. Enraged, wounded, and focused on the source of his pain, I feel William's hold on me lessen. I can't hurt him, but the laws of physics still apply, and I'm still infused with plenty of supernatural chutzpah. He's holding the girl with one hand, beating her with his other, and spewing the most vile threats I've heard to date. I push myself to my absolute limit, burning through every bit of stolen soul in one burst of activity. I leap from the table, scampering across the attic floor in a blur of skittering limbs. Speed makes up for a lack of mass. I take him out at the knees. He drops Alex, tries picking at the doorframe as we both fall from the attic to the living room floor. Neither of us are stunned by the fall. As we hit the ground, it's a senseless grapple. I hold on for dear life, clinging and stopping William from getting to his feet. Light floods the living room through the window facing the sun. Immediately, William begins to smoke, unleashing a hellish scream that rattles my brain. Soon enough, he tosses me off, obliterating the flat-screen television. It scurries to the door, taking refuge in a shrinking patch of shadow. The Revenant looks to me with a hatred born in hell itself. "You just made things personal, you little shit. Remember that," he says, opening the door. He walks out the door skulking, coyote-like from shadow to shadow in an attempt to outpace the morning. Outside, the ward is barely functional. Members of both sides of conflict are finding their opportunities to retreat, the sun making the ward's job all but impossible. Alex practically drags herself down the stairs, broken bones, missing eye, and more lacerations that I can see at a glance. She walks beside me, watching the carnage with innocence of a child, but the look of someone who has seen more than they should. "What do I do now?" she asks, voice hollow. I walk upstairs, retrieving William's fingers, then grab Alex by the hand and begin walking to JP's place. The scene around me is surreal. Survivors of all type, walking, wounded, missing limbs, 1,000-yard stares, all trying to get out of this pit before the ward finally gives. Sveta is outside, still changed, but with an understanding, almost human expression on her face. Kaz and Hive look torn up. Mike and Leo are wrapped in a half-dozen battlefield dressings, and a handful of Mike's people are taking the worst of the wounded side. I hold out the severed digits to Sveta. She bends comically low, breathing in their scent. And before I get blasted in the comments, I know lying to her isn't the most moral play, but I'm more concerned in getting things taken care of before we have the X-Files crew to deal with. She starts to convulse, dropping to the ground. Flesh and muscles start to fall off like parts of a dying car. After a few minutes of what I can only describe as gory seizure, Sveta, looking human, crawls from the pile of liquefying flesh, fur, and blood. The scene inside JP's house is like a battlefield hospital. Wounded being treated, blood staining the floor. Sveta closes herself, the look on her face distant and brooding. "We need to get that kid to a hospital," Leo says, stitching up a long gash on his arm. Mike snickers. "Why go to the trouble? Might as well just give her one of the freaks going back to the bishop," Mike comments. "Shit," is Leo's answer. "Do you have any family out of state?" Sveta asks as she starts to go over Alex's injuries. "I'm not leaving," the girl says, wincing as Sveta removes a shard of glass from her arm. Even with all the terror around us, watching the consequences of our conflict, this statement is enough to silence us. For the first time in a long time, I've got you guys caught up to a current minute. Here we are, pondering our next step and wondering what we're going to do about Alex. I can't tell if we have the bishop on the ropes or if this was just the prelude to worse things to come. So as always, any advice is appreciated. We're in the home stretch now. Thank all of you for hanging out this long. Till next time, watch your windows and look out for each other. Punch. "This is going to hurt, kid, but it'll be quick," Mike says, holding the glass in my eye with a small pair of silver pliers. In case it wasn't obvious, it's Alex. Punch wanted me to talk to you guys this time. I'd go into why, beyond the fact he just needed a break, but that'd spoil what happens. "Shouldn't be too bad, not many nerves in the eye," Leo says. Mike sighs. "You don't think I know that? Do I look like the kind of person who hasn't stabbed an eyeball or two? I was trying to make the kid feel like a badass," Mike replies. And they're right. As he slowly pulls the sliver of glass out, there's not much pain. Makes the feeling I have that everything is just a dream a little worse. Mike drops the glass into a cup of water. The look on his face doesn't make me feel any better. "Can you see?" he asks. His tone tells me he already knows the answer. I close my good eye. I'm not blind, but the world is nothing more than washed out smudges. "Not really, but it'll be fine, right? It's not like it popped," I ask. "Eyes don't really pop," Leo explains. "Christ, Leo, you ever been around a kid before?" Mike scolds. "If getting you to a hospital would fix it, I promise you we would," Sveta says. She gets to one knee so we can be face to face. "In 2 days, I've been thrown from one house full of monsters and crazy people to another. I've seen murderers, ghouls, evil toys, my family killed. This piece of news wasn't the worst thing that's happened, but it's the straw that breaks the camel's back. I cry. And for anyone judging me because I'm not some emotionless ass kicker, I'm 11, with a wrist I'm pretty sure is broken, and too many other bad things happening to count. If you want an 11-year-old that's beating up demons, go watch anime. Half of my face feels like it's on fire, but I can't stop. Since everything started, I haven't really had time to think about things. Sveta tries to comfort me, tell me things are going to be okay, but they aren't. They just aren't. I push her away, nearly falling out of the chair I'm in. Maybe we should take this upstairs. The freak show can't be helping the kid, Leo says. My name is Alex, I say, trying to stop the tears and blood. Hey Alex, would it help if I said I'm scared too? Mike asks. I snort at him. I could show you, the killer clown says. I don't understand what he means. I look at him for an answer. We should all debrief anyways. Kaz, Hive, you joining us? Leo asks. They do, and we all walk into an office. A large table sits in the center of the room, lots of books and binders on the shelves. Hive shuts the door, and as he does, something happens to Mike. He almost falls into the one of the leather chairs, a blank, horrified look on his pale painted face. He runs his hands over his head, knocking his undersized top hat to the ground. Mike, you okay? Punch says. I liked his voice through my phone better. The one he's using is boring. Fuck no, Mike almost screams. He fumbles through his long coat, pulling out something I recognize from my grandma's place. One of those little plastic boxes for pills. He takes a couple from the small compartments and closes his eyes. There are monsters goddamned everywhere. I'm working with 3 right now. How is this so blasé to all of you? Mike says, shuddering. Mike, what's going on here? Punch asks. Mike starts to laugh. No, calling it a laugh isn't right. He starts to giggle. He calms himself down after a minute or so. It takes a half dozen psych meds to keep me at normal. I'm mind-fucked enough the voices in my head have delusions, and those delusions suffer from paranoia. Knowing what's real and what isn't was hard enough before the supernatural got thrown into the mix. Now I don't know. It's an act, guys. I'm stumbling from one cosmic fuckover to the next, losing a bit of myself each time. I see this kid and I wonder maybe I just stole her. Maybe I'm just sitting in some abandoned house spewing nonsense before... Mike starts to cry. I felt like that when my brother started to lose it. More when the man in the attic came with the toys, I say. Mike looks to me, a sad half smile on his face, makeup running. You and me. Alex, aren't we like the rest of them? We're just people. You know what that means? Mike asks. Not really, I say honestly. That's okay. Took me a long time to understand too. They're here because this is their world. We're here for a reason. Once we find out what that is, we can get out of this nightmare. I hope, Mike explains. He doesn't seem relieved as he talks, more serious, like he's just figuring things out himself. Not to be crass, but can we rely on you, Michael? Kaz, who looks like a combination of Slenderman and a candle, asks. I think so, Mike says, looking for something among the cabinets and drawers. He finds a small silver flask tucked in to the back of the brown metal filing cabinet, drinking whatever's inside in 2 swallows. That's reassuring, Hive says. I'm being honest. There's a chance the cheese slides right the hell off my cracker. It's happened before. We're not talking some kind of berserker rage either, just a good old-fashioned mental breakdown. Mike seems to be calming down as he talks. Won't the police be coming? I ask, trying to feel involved in the conversation. Leo starts to talk. Sveta interrupts him. Hun, I'm not going to let my friend explain things anymore. We can't count on the police right now, but soon we can get you to some family. I know this is a lot to take in, and we seem kind of scary, but none of us want to hurt you. I almost feel she's lying a little. Like when an adult tells you a shot isn't going to hurt, or the medicine isn't going to taste bad. But I know she cares. I don't really know her, but it makes me feel less alone. We've got some time. Hell, night wouldn't have been cheap for the bishop, Leo adds. The sniper said some things that had me thinking that what the bishop is doing is off the books. Anyway, can we use that? Punch suggests. Not that I can think of. Might have been prudent to take him a hostage instead of destroying him, Hive says. The room is silent for a while. Nothing but my pain and the realization that life is never going to be the same to keep me occupied. I was really hoping Hive had a connection he could use, Kaz says, looking at me for a second. Do you? Hive asks. Not as such, Kaz replies. Just drop the turd in the punch bowl, man, Mike says. I laugh a little. What a foul turn of phrase. The turd is the fact that I may have a way of getting this information to the right people. I don't know anyone in the bishop's organization, but there is one entity I know of that would have reason to try and gain favor with him. No friend of mine, he's a terrible, egotistical thing, but useful to our cause, as long as he doesn't know what he's doing, Kaz says. That's what this situation needs, another demonic hanger-on, Leo adds. Not as such. I didn't mention him before, as none of us have the, prerequisites to contact him, Kaz starts to explain. More silence. Hell no. I can see where this is going, and hard pass from me, Mike interrupts. I'm starting to get tired of being talked about. It's worse when they think I'm not smart enough to understand what they're doing. I'm with Mike, Sveta agrees. No way we send the kid into danger. We give this a couple of days and get her estate over, Leo adds. I'll do it, I say, surprising myself. Sorry, kid, informed consent and all that, Mike tells me. I think about cursing, swearing, telling them about how I am informed, how I understand I could get hurt, maybe even die. But I realize I'd just come across like a little kid. I look to Kaz. He scares me. Something like him can say it's nice all day, but I'm not going to believe it. What would I have to do? I ask. He takes a while to start. I can almost feel the anger coming off the other adults. Children's these days aren't very familiar with rituals. How can I explain this? He says, trying to think of an explanation. Mister, a lot of us have been combing through the internet of spooky things since we were in kindergarten. I don't know how much is true, but I know what a ritual is, I say, proud that my voice only squeaked once. Mike smiles. Leo looks like he just swallowed a bug. Sorry for assuming, Alex. I'll explain everything and then you can decide, Kaz starts. Now, if I put his explanation here, things would get repetitive pretty quickly. So how about I start off with things with a warning? What Kaz told me was called the Nothing Left ritual. And if the name didn't make it obvious, it's bad news. Don't try it. If you find yourself in a situation to perform it, introducing the supernatural into your life will make things worse. But I know people won't listen, so I'll try to give advice when I can. First, you have to be under 18, and lost all immediate family due to tragedy. You have to have access to your first childhood home, and the farther away from the tragedy, the bigger a chance for things to go wrong. What scares me the most about it is the fact that, conceivably, someone could fall into it without noticing. None of the steps are all out of the realm of possibility. The next step is look for a 24-hour grocery store. This needs to be done between 1 and 4 a.m. If you're thinking, my city doesn't have one, it does if you look hard enough. At this point, it's already possible to fail, but honestly, you're lucky if you do. The worst that will happen is you never find the store. You want to have a minimum of $20 and change. More is fine, but it makes things a little more complicated later. Smaller is best. Pennies are what you want ideally. My heart pounds as I walk into the place. At first, this early in, nothing seems that out of the ordinary for a grocery store at 2 a.m. That being said, I've never been in one this late, so things seem spooky regardless. The kind of people in a grocery store at 2 a.m. scare me a bit. That's before I start wondering how many of them are part of this. Obviously, I didn't, but if you have gotten this far, there's still time to turn back. Once you feel someone behind you having trouble breathing, it's too late. I turn down the cereal aisle and it's nearly empty, but I feel it, him, behind me. The ritual has started. My heart starts to pound. I know what I'm looking for, but there are a few more steps before I can get it. I can't look at the thing behind me, Kaz made that very clear, but my mind starts to make a picture of what it looks like. At first I picture a mean-looking old man, being impatient and trying to get by. But as I walk, I can hear the odd product fall, or shelf rattle, as we turn a corner. It makes me think whatever it is huge. My brain starts to go to darker places. I try to calm down, focus on what I have to do next. "Where are your parents?" a voice from behind me asks. The angle it's coming from is all wrong. You can answer the thing behind you. I didn't, but do not look at it. You might think that the shelves around me would be filled with rotting vegetables or body parts or something, but it's the exact opposite. Every product seems like it's designed for me. Things I've never even heard of that I know I'd love. If this place is trying to make me screw up, even though I know this, it's so tempting. "You shouldn't be here." The voice from behind me says. I don't respond, but it feels like my heart is going to explode. Eventually, you'll come across a security guard. He'll be old, 40s, maybe 50s, and not very interested in doing his job. He's not a monster. Actually, you might find this part pretty interesting. Kaz told me, and I quote, "The supernatural likes to recycle." I'll explain what he means. We've all read a million creepypasta that security guard is in one of the classics. I've got a job with weird rules kind of situations, which is a part of the ritual itself. At some point, you're going to need to steal something. If you get caught, you'll be fine, as I said. This is some down-on-his-luck guy getting paid absurd money to follow strange rules. If he catches you, though, whoever is reading his story shouldn't be expecting a new episode. I walk down a spice aisle that smells good enough to make me feel lightheaded. I've never stolen before, but I slide a bottle of a beautiful-looking purple salt into my jacket. I look to the guard. He's flipping through his phone. Or is he taking a picture of me? Against almost everyone's advice, I agreed to do this. I know I could die, but I don't want to drag this poor guy into it. I look to him again. This time we make eye contact. I turn away, walking faster. "You filthy little thief. You play dangerous games, little one," the voice behind me says, scaring me bad enough to make me stumble. I walk up and down aisles. It's almost hypnotizing, like being on a long car ride. I try to tune out the thing behind me, but it doesn't work. It looms. Threats and comments that make me feel like I need a shower coming from him non-stop. I get to a point where I know I've walked farther than it should be possible. From the outside, this place was a step above a corner store, but I've been walking for hours. Around me, things start to get strange, make less sense. I swear I've seen some of these aisles before, as a kid maybe. It has a dreamlike feel to it, like everything here is a patchwork of places I've been before. The people start to seem different. Clothing that's out of place, faces just a little off of how they should look. I want to run, to go screaming back to Punch and the rest and tell them I can't do this. Having some monster force its way into my life, that's one thing. But knowing I chose this, that's a whole different kind of scary. But it's way too late to turn back now. The entire place feels like it's one thing, watching me, waiting for me to make the smallest mistake. The product names around me are pure nonsense, but somehow I still feel like I want them, like I desperately need a box of happiness-flavored laundry detergent in my life. I expected more blood and guts, the kind of brutal terror that has been in my life for the past couple of months. But this place, it isn't like that. I know it's silly to say it feels worse, but it does. If you're anything like me, you've read a story like this and felt you'd do pretty good. Might even seem fun. But I want to explain something. There's a feeling, something you've never felt before, something no terror or tragedy could match. It's a sense of wrong, a sense of being someplace that wasn't meant for people. I pass rows of jars, pretty colors, and filled with something floating in a light blue liquid. I start to run when one of the formless things within begins to turn towards me. A woman is on her knees in the middle of an aisle, weeping. I almost ask her if she's okay as I pass, but then I see her hands, fused to her face, one eye looking at me through cracked fingers. I'm getting tired. My feet hurt, and the further I get, the more things around me strain my mind. I start to think that maybe I missed a step along the way. Kaz wouldn't tell me exactly what happens if I mess up other than it's best not to think about it. If you've made it this far, what you're looking for is a rack of DVDs. It'll be small, tucked toward the end of an aisle or near some other impulse buys. In my case, it was in the middle of a freezer aisle. Mist pours from open doors. Noises from inside coolers make me pause on the way to the rack. You do not want to read the other films any more than you have to. Some are nonsense, but others, they have things written on them you do not want to know. At this point, you might be asking yourself, why would anyone want to do this? Other than the exact situation Punch and I find ourselves in, that is. First, this is the kind of thing you could stumble into by accident. Likely how it was first found, but there are plenty of people who went in for a lot worse reasons than I have. This isn't just some spooky thrill. The reward isn't the fact you poked the bear and got away. If you do this right, you get one question answered, and to a lot of people, especially a lot of young people in vulnerable states, that's worth it. The cover looks cheap, almost handmade. A bunch of food items with happy faces, one of which something that might be a chicken nugget holding a Bible. Faith Foods is the title. I grab the thin box, starting to sweat, my eyes struggling to judge the distance to the till. Pockets of copper, trousers full of piss. These are your last steps, Alex. And when you die here, you don't get to move on. To be with those who went before you. Look around you. This is your eternal rest. The voice behind me says. Something damp and warm briefly touches my neck. I can feel tears start to fall, but I don't make a noise. The thing manning the till is almost human. Long, vertical pits for eyes, a small, thin mouth. It looks to me, then the thing behind me. The predatory expression on its face makes me shudder. The price tag says $19.99. I place the DVD on the counter and start the worst part of this ritual. If you brought any bills, you've messed up. Larger change can work, but the bigger the coin, the worse your chances. And when the consequences are something even someone like Kaz doesn't want to talk about, that's not a chance you want to take. This is why exact change in pennies is the best option, assuming you can keep count, that is. I've never counted to 2,000 before, let alone with stakes like this. But slowly, bit by bit, the massive bag of change gets put on the counter. Behind me, a line starts to form. Impatience and anger radiate from the growing crowd. The voice behind me laughs. It distracts me. Not enough to make me lose count, or God forbid, look backwards, but I see the tinted windows of the store. I see the throng behind me, a milling mob of things trying to seem human. I'm glad I can't make out detail in the dusty reflective glass. $10 counted. Something screams an insult that is senseless and cutting at the same time. I'm dazed as something hits me in the back of the head. A can of synthetic water-flavored animal oil rolls away, a small dent from where it struck me. I'm at $15.63 when my heart drops. A dime. My hands begin to shake. The thing behind me laughs. The anger from the crowd is palpable. They begin to press in behind me. I dare another look in the reflective window. There are at least 4 dozen creatures in line. I reach $19.99. The events around me don't make me feel confident I've kept count, not to mention that evil little dime that snuck its way in. Sudden silence, tension, fear. The thing behind the counter looks toward the mountain of pennies, holding the DVD with one hand. Something wet and flat like a dirty washcloth starts to wrap around my neck. It begins to tighten, silence all around me as I begin to see spots. I struggle, but the hold is like steel. I cry, my damaged eye feeling like it's going to come out of my head. I wonder what step I messed up. What one of the handful of rules I broke. I try to cry or scream, but no air can move. Skin tears as I wonder what it's going to be like becoming part of this place, dragging other people to the same death. I wake up to rain. I'm in the middle of a field, face down in a deep, murky puddle. I cough. It feels like my throat is full of broken glass. There's a swollen red ring from my neck to my shoulders. Beside me is a dirty white plastic bag. When I lift it, I know what's inside, but I look anyway. Faith Foods. Lightning lights up the field enough to give me some bears as to where I am. The crack of thunder that follows feels like it could knock me over. I begin to walk back to the house with Punch and the others. I want to feel excited, like I've accomplished something, but I don't. Seeing that place, seeing how wrong and senseless the world can be, it makes me understand how bad my situation is. The fact that I'm only halfway through this ritual sucks away any sense of accomplishment I might have. The next step is to watch the DVD. I don't know what exactly to expect, but if that twisted grocery store was the appetizer, I don't know if I want to try the main course. If anyone has any help they can give me, let me know in the comments. I hope I live long enough to keep you all updated. Alex. It seemed pretty badass if I walked right from the field, covered in mud, half dead to pop in the DVD, but by the time I meet up with Punch and his friends, I barely have the energy to eat. Time has a funny way of passing when important things are going on. Everyone likes to talk about summers that last forever, but my situation is kind of the opposite. It's a couple of weeks before I'm in shape enough to do anything but watch YouTube in a guest bedroom at Sveta's place. As my fractured wrist sets and I get used to the less than obvious issue with having a messed up eye, don't ask, I try to get a sense of how things work. I spend most of my time with Mike, not by choice. Like anyone with a brain, clowns creep me out. Mike can wear jeans and a t-shirt all he wants. Who are the Ramones, by the way? But floppy shoes or no, he's a clown. The reason Punch and the rest give me is something to do with supernatural things making me sick. I didn't quite understand the fine print, but have to trust someone. In my short time with these people, I've picked up on a few things. Thought maybe I'd share them as this situation doesn't really have the viewpoint of anyone normal. I believe them when they say the supernatural can hurt you if you get too close. Punch is my favorite, but if I'm around him too much, I just don't feel right. It's not something you notice till it's pointed out, but it makes you wonder what's happening. Overnight, Kaz went from looking like a melted candle with claws to an old man. Leo and Sveta seem to know why, but neither would tell me. Either way, I like him better like this. Most of Mike's friends left after the first week. A few things keep an eye on the house from outside, but I try not to think about them. Everyone here is just as scared as I am. The feeling this is all a dream is so strong I find myself pinching and slapping myself from time to time. I watch my neighborhood go on as if we didn't just have monsters and soldiers killing each other in the streets. Only a couple of people died besides my family. I can't go outside and ask, but I see on Instagram and Twitter their disappearances are being explained by work of accidents and heart attacks. How can people not be asking questions? I ask. Mike pours a large bowl of Little Donut cereal. Asked myself that question a while back. Got told the universe has ways of smoothing things over, making sure the world doesn't know too much too soon. Has its limits, of course, but no one is brave enough to test them. It's why spooky things get done in the shadows, he replies. He's put foundation on the scars on his face. He's good. If I didn't know they were there, I'd never guess. I don't know if he's self-conscious or just trying to make me less uncomfortable. So that's it? People just get killed? No consequences? I say, suddenly not feeling hungry. Mike adds chocolate milk to the oversized bowl. Is that why you're staying around? Because you don't think there's going to be any consequences? Mike smirks at me. I'm staying because none of you will let me leave, I lie. Bullshit, kid. Everyone sleeps sometimes. You could skip town in the middle of the night. No way we stop what we're doing to chase you. Can I give you some advice? The clown says, stirring his cereal. That's what adults say when they're about to lecture you. By the way, that stuff will rot your teeth, I pout. Mike grins. I see half of his teeth are pointed, cracked mess. I'll take my chances. The universe fucking hates revenge. Deep down, everyone knows this, but take it from me. No matter how you try and get around this basic law of nature, it does nothing but ruin you. You can say you're avenging the dead or saving the innocent. The universe doesn't give a shit. It knows why. It sees through that garbage like a 5th grade teacher hearing about dog-chewed homework. You staying, it's about revenge. And everyone else here is too far up their own supernatural asses to point that out. This is why I hate Mike. Whenever he talks, I can't tell if he's being mean or nice. He eats like his food is going to run away from him. Not messy, but quicker than I've seen an adult eat. What makes you different? I say, buttering a lukewarm piece of toast. Mike grabs a bottle from the liquor cabinet, adds some to his orange juice, and takes out his pill container. If you shoot me in the face, I die, Mike jokes. Real answer? I'm not from here, and I want to get back. Where I'm from, there are no monsters or ghosts, or whatever the hell that bug-filled thing is. Monsters? We're cruel people with too much time and too many connections. Not superpowers or magic. This means that I'm invested in this world of darkness horse shit going on, and you shouldn't be either. Who else would watch the DVD? I say, offended. Open your eyes, kid. The whole creepy Harry Potter thing? It's the rest of them justifying using a child soldier. Better intentions maybe, but it's no different than gangs using kids your age. They tell themselves it's because they can't get time, while ignoring the fact bullets don't have a Young Offenders Act. Mike finishes the bowl of cereal as he talks. The way he drops the information so casually makes me angry. So I'm just dumb? And everyone doesn't care if I die? I spit. Easy, Alex, Mike says, pouring more of the packaged tooth decay. I'm not calling you dumb, and I have no right to judge other people's intentions. This is why they call it an adult situation. Things are more complicated than that. What I'm saying is, don't take everything at face value. You want to stop the people who killed your family? Fine. Don't let that change who you are. Look at this crap like a tragedy you have to endure. You start to let people convince you it's some kind of morally right adventure, that's when things go bad. I spend time thinking about what Mike said, wondering how much my life is going to change, if it's even possible for it to get back to normal. Every night I think about doing exactly what Mike suggested, taking off, trying to get to my aunt's house in Maine, maybe. But there's something keeping me here. I know I'll never be able to get beyond what I've seen if I don't try and do something about it. Like a school project, wanting to do something and doing it are two different things. Thank you, Mrs. Lankout. It takes me a few weeks to get up the courage to talk to Kaz. So what next? I ask. It's just the two of us in the living room. The place has been cleaned up and repaired, no sign of the bishop or his people. If you're ready, we get you prepared to start the next part of the ritual. I'm sorry to say, but my information on the mechanics of the event is minimal. You'll likely need to do a lot of thinking on your toes. You'll have to go to your home alone. Of course, you'll be watching the film, but that's only where things begin. You know what a ritual is. Do you know what they do? Kaz asks. Lots of things, from what I've read, I reply. True, but the way they do these things is that they give you power to something. In a small area, for a small amount of time, you will be given agency to something that likely shouldn't have it. Once the film is over, the ritual begins. It may not seem like one, not everything is black candles and backwards Bible verses, but make no mistake, this is the Congress with the void. There are 5 mistakes you cannot make. Other than that, I've no more help to offer. Do not eat anything other than what you bring. Do not change the channel. Do not leave the room where the television set is located. Do not exchange anything, favors, items, anything. Do not ignore anything speaking to you. As Kaz explains, I'm confused. Okay, I guess. So why are we doing this? How's it going to help? I ask. When you complete the ritual, the reward is one question. Any question you can think of, answered truthfully and fully. The entity bound to the ritual isn't omniscient, no matter what it may want people to believe. It gains its information as needed from forces well beyond itself. You're going to ask it if it knows what happened in your house, and if my understanding of its motivations is correct, it will use its newfound information to curry favor with those over the bishop. Kaz says, as if this kind of thing happens all the time. It's 1 in the morning as I walk down the street. The only signs of what happened are some repairs and new plants. How could people wake up to a missing porch or uprooted oak and not get that something happened? Monsters, demons, whatever, they scare the hell out of me. But more than that, this feeling of an unknowable force working to make sure help isn't coming makes me want to just start walking toward Maine. But I stamp down that fear, and I find myself in my old house, in front of an older tube television I know wasn't there before. The doorway to my room is scorched, and the entire place smells like blood and melted plastic. My mind starts to panic and drift. A burning sensation in my hurt eye makes me realize I'm crying, snapping me back to reality. I have enough food to last a few days in an old duffel bag. I drop it to the floor, breathing starting to speed up. The only thing I can use is a chair as an ottoman. I pull it close to the television. Things have already started. Neither the TV nor the DVD player sitting on top should be here. My hand stops. The disc inches from the opening of the DVD player. A soft hum coming from the outdated machine. Regret hits the moment the disc starts to slide into the DVD player. I grip the edges of the ottoman as the poorly animated characters appear on the screen, ready for any number of horrible media related to events or creatures. But the longer the film goes on, the more it just is what it is. It's an old, cheap, bad ripoff of VeggieTales. Nothing scary, no hidden messages or glimpses of my dead family. I watch and I start to relax, even laughing a little at how stupid the show is. Which is to say I wasn't thinking on my toes. The air around me seems to sour, like it's charged with some kind of rotten energy. A lot of people are scared of the dark, myself included, but I never thought I'd feel the same about daylight. The room brightens ever so slightly as the DVD starts to end. I turn towards the window, wondering what's going on. It can't be any later than 2 or 3. I scream, falling off the ottoman. Beside me, I see him. He's a little kid, maybe 6 or 7, there but not there, flickering, looking washed out. Then, from somewhere I can't explain, I understand him. He was the first. Whatever is on the other end of this ritual, it picked him. Now he's part of this. And as quickly as he's appeared, he's gone. But my mind is filled with images, brief flashes of memories that aren't mine. The poor kid's weekly tradition of getting up at 4:30 on Saturday and watching his favorite movie before the start of cartoons. Then the day things changed. The day he became a gear in a new supernatural death machine. For a while, the screen is blank. The room starts to brighten further. Maybe I'm weird, but I've always been creeped out worse by those few hours before sunlight than any other time of day. Maybe it's because you're almost never up that early for a good reason. The world feels empty in a way that it shouldn't be. Daylight and empty streets is its own kind of horror. The television flickers to life. Hazy, grainy images start to focus. It's a commercial for some kind of fancy jump rope. The kids in it are acting excited and happy, but when the camera hits their faces, they're strained with terror. The cut to the television show is harsh. Suddenly, I'm looking at an intro for a show called Stevie Scavenger's Silly Search. The animation is old, better than the DVD, but not by much. The main character is a crow. Its voice is obnoxiously friendly, strangely though. It's not black, but an off-white. It's in a room full of things I would associate with adventure packs, climbing gear, canteens, those big floppy hats, but the more I look, I see things I can't recognize, that don't seem like they should be there. Shining chrome tools that look more like they should be in a doctor's office. Bags of something called lye, and other weird stuff. "Well, hello there! Glad you could make it back," Stevie says loudly enough it makes me almost feel like he's trying to stop me from looking too close. The crow stands still. I don't know what I'm supposed to do. The DVD was just a DVD. Do I respond? Do I miss something? Hi, I'm Alex, I say, trying my best to think on my feet. It doesn't look like Sammy heard me. And good morning to you. It's time for a new beginner, the crow says, turning his back to me and rummaging through some shelving in this background. I look outside and my stomach drops. It's a neighborhood, nothing strange or sinister, but it's not my neighborhood. It looks like early morning, no later than 5 a.m. or so. Then I see the house around me. Besides the dimly lit living room, everything else has changed. The architecture feels off-center, warped, as if the entire room has been roughly removed and jammed into another house. It's all in a deep shadow, contrasting the unnatural light of the room. When I turn back to the television, Stevie is holding a generic-looking brown sack with a question mark on it. On one end looks kind of wet. Can't show up to someone's house without a gift. What do you say to seeing my old friend? The television scrambles for a moment, warping the image and drowning out the name of Stevie's friend. I don't miss a beat. Sure, I say, hopping enthusiasm helps. Stevie doesn't reply. Instead, a commercial harshly cuts on. Seems like one of those old PSAs people like to react to on YouTube. A man in a light brown suit stands in front of a strange sign, a red letter M with a black X through it. Are you concerned you or someone you know may be experiencing symptoms of? I'm curious as to what he's talking about. I lean forward. A knocking at the window has me spinning toward it, heart racing, as the concerned man in the television goes on about something called the M. It's Mike. He's in costume like the first night. Alex, you need to get back to the house. We're calling things off. It's too dangerous, he yells through the window. Symptoms include disorganized thoughts, delusions of grandeur, violent outbursts. The man on the television continues. Mike slaps his open palms on the window hard enough to shake the glass. We need you, Alex. There's no time to explain, Mike yells. I'm walking toward the window. Something about what's going on the television seems important, but I can't ignore Mike. Hurry up, kid, out the front door, chop chop, Mike encourages me. And I'm about to do just that when I notice something. The light outside is bad, the window, grime and smoke stained, but Mike doesn't look quite right. Physical abnormalities, digestive trouble, odd cravings. The television continues as Mike slams his hands on the window again. I'm stopped, trying to figure out what exactly is wrong. He's dressed like he was that first night, almost. Then it hits me. He looks like someone tried drawing Mike by a description. All the elements of a scary clown are there, but not in the right proportions? Design? I remember what Kaz said about not leaving the room till things are over. I want to tell whatever is imitating Mike its trick didn't work, but it disappears in a blink. The commercial ends with a telephone number I will not be giving out here, and as soon as I'm back to Stevie, looking a little impatient. Where should we start our search? Stevie asks. As he does, 3 options appear in white text. The forest, the city. The third option I can't quite read. The white text keeps appearing over things that make it blend in. The forest? I say, figuring either of the options are as good as a place to start. The city? Sure, let's check it out, Stevie says, either ignoring or not hearing my suggestion. The animation shows Stevie walking through a small town. It alternates to his point of view every so often. When it does, it changes to small clips, a park, an empty ice cream shop, and an alley. Doesn't look like my friend is in the city. Let's try the forest next, Stevie says. I'm scared enough I could puke, but it's actually making me thirsty. I keep my eyes on the television, not wanting to miss anything as I grab a bottle of water from the food bag. The scene on the television changes to a very low-quality video of someone walking through a sparse, garbage-strewn forest. Stevie narrates. I miss the forest sometimes. There are so many interesting things here, he says. I see a small girl, interested in something in the back of a rusted-out old car. Whoever is filming walks closer, the child on screen completely unaware. Things feel sinister, like I'm watching something I shouldn't be. The camera gets closer, the girl is leaning into the car. I see an off-white leather glove hand in the bottom corner of the screen. I cough, nervous. I take a drink of the apple juice. I panic, spitting the liquid out, missing whatever horror happens on the ancient television. My heart races, I toss the bottle, hoping I manage to stop myself in time. I think of all the terrible things that could happen. My mind races. I trip over the ottoman as the commercial cuts in. On screen is a stop-motion chocolate bar I've never heard of doing everything from playing basketball to piloting a plane. Despite the situation, the jingle is pretty catchy. It's really rad, snacktastic, it's no fad, snacktastic, it's healthy too, snacktastic, it's great for you, snacktastic. As the song repeats itself, I grab a water from my bag, looking this time. I look out the window, making sure not to get too focused on one thing, when I have no idea what to expect next. I catch it, the last line of the jingle, on the 5th or 6th repetition. It's healthy too, snacktastic, it's behind you. Snacktastic. I look, and for a brief moment, I see a large shape walking through the deeply shadowed off-kilter kitchen. I can't make out where it went, or no matter how hard I try. Either it's blending in with the kitchen, or has went somewhere else. Alex, we have one place left we haven't been, I hear Stevie say from behind me. I'm frozen. I don't know what I'm afraid of, but at the same time, I know things are going to get worse. But I volunteered for this. I turn, slowly, to see Stevie looking directly at me, making eye contact. The third option isn't hidden anymore. It's my address. Our friend is with you, Alex, Stevie says. The tone of loss and fear in his voice makes me want to bolt out the front door. Noises from a different part of the house. He wants to be your friend too, Stevie begins. I can get you out. It's not too late. He can't tell you anything you can't find out somewhere else. I see a glimmer of hope. I understand what's going on. I've heard enough stories online to know that Stevie is just a part of this too, trapped with whatever entity is summoned by the ritual. But then it hits me. These things are older than me, smarter than me, and have decades, maybe centuries of experience with people. They know I know this. Stevie is playing me. I'm not exchanging anything, I say, trying to keep my voice even. Stevie gives me a look that I can't unsee before the television cuts off. I'm alone in a room lit by a sun that has no business being out, surrounded by nonsensical rooms from a house I've never been in. A feeling starts brewing, cold and isolation, like I'm the only person left on a dying world. The living room around me begins to flicker and blur as a shadowy form begins to take shape in the non-Euclidean rooms connected to it. It's huge, its face alone nearly the size of me. It strains at the edges of the room from the other side of the house and my living room. No words I have will describe it well enough. It wasn't like smoke or fog. Its nearly amorphous body moved with physics people could never understand. Massive wide eyes with black pupils and a large gray-lipped mouth are all I can make out clearly. The features shift and jitter, as if keeping them is a strained-on entity. Ask, it says, drawing the word out like a sentence. I try to speak, nothing happens. This thing isn't like the sniper, Punch, or Kaz. Not even Sveta seemed as scary as the thing in front of me. The rage-filled look it gives me forces me to whisper, Do you know what happened here? I do, now, it says, a tone of understanding and malice making its elongated statement feel like a threat. I hear a humming behind me. The entity rises, looking down at me from the ceiling. Witness, it hisses, forcing a many-fingered onyx-clawed hand from the formless mass of its body and pointing towards the television. I'm spun around by a force I can't see. I can't close my eyes. I can't look away. The knowledge you seek with knowledge you shouldn't have. Information, by its very nature, will be a cancer to your soul. I am no butcher of flesh and bone. I am he. I am the all-knowing. And you, despite your best efforts, will be my prophet. The entity says as I watch the screen. He's not wrong about what was playing, and for that reason, I'm not going to describe in detail what I saw on that screen. I'll call it war, but it's as much war as what I'm doing right now as a movie night. I can't even say I fully understood what was happening, but I can't take the chance that one of you does. I'm sure you can all tell I survived the ordeal. It'd be pretty hard to type if I got eaten or something. Or maybe not, it's a weird world. I made it back to Sveda's house and answered the dozens of questions everyone had for me. But what I saw, saying I can't unsee it, is not only a cliche, but doesn't do it justice. The knowledge is nearly a physical force, an itching, nagging sensation in my brain that rivals my torn up eye. Punch wants to get back on next week, and I have no problem with that. I thought letting the world know what was going on would make me feel like I'm doing something good for people, but I'm starting to understand danger isn't just ghosts and guns. There are ideas, information out there that can hurt people, and I want to make sure I'm not contributing to that. Alex.